Welcome to one of my Runeterra highlight videos. I highlight a different deck almost every single day of the week. If you enjoy the content, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Enjoy. Let's dive on in here, huh? Trundle Bundle, or Harrowing Trundle, is a different variation on the Shadow Isles Freljord control deck. Our namesake card here, Harrowing, costs 9 mana, and it revives our 6 strongest allies that have died this game as ephemeral, which means they die when they strike. So the basic idea of this deck is we want to get Trundle leveled, and then we want to have a bunch of different Trundles die, so that way we can Harrowing 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 Trundles back into play. Every Trundle you Harrowing back into play makes an ice pillar in your hand, so then all your ephemeral Trundles attack simultaneously, seeing all the ice pillars that they've generated in your hand, and you hit for 40, 50, 60 points of damage in one giant swing. So, what are we doing to stay alive to get to that combo to happen? The bottom end of the curve in this deck is very heavily unit-based: Aristocrat, Omen Hawk, Sentry, Vile Feast, Tavern Keeper. Playing all of these units means we get to play Glimpse Beyond as a source of card advantage to draw into our combo pieces. Playing all of these cheap units also serves to enable our second champion, Thresh here, who needs to see things die, and then his leveled mode helps us pull Trundles out of the deck. The rest of this deck also has things like Vengeance and Ruination to help keep us alive, so let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it sidesteps the combat system in a big way. Thanks, Icy Ice. I appreciate the 7 months. I would like the record to reflect that even though people are disingenuously comparing Atrocity to Fling and Magic, Fling and Magic does require you to sacrifice the thing even if your spell doesn't resolve, which is relevant.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
Looks like I'm ready. Bye-bye.
It is time.
Yeah, I could try and poke at that as a tough. I could re-record a louder opening. Yeah, even before you get into the nuance of the mana system in Runeterra versus Magic, it's just different.
Silent as death.
As is off the case, card game players want to draw strictly better, strictly worse comparisons between things that are just different.
Please, I have connections.
You just take this hit and play Tavern Keeper, huh?
Warm hearts and hot soup.
as is the case with both things, right? It's easier to just call it 6-mana fling than to be like, there's nuance here that we need to discuss.
The trolls are going to war!
I'm gonna attack with all these. I'd like to clear out some bench space anyways.
Your attack is obvious.
Nuance, that sounds like something a dirty socialist would say. Accurate.
Who's gonna close?
So I've got double Harrowing here, but we've yet to have any Trundles die, which is unfortunate.
Hello.
Hello. Shiver in your boots. You're in my kingdom now. Off we go.
They cannot hide.
That is a free. That's fine. They were gonna gain life anyways, right?
There. I'll spot him.
Not gonna get to use my mana particularly efficiently this turn, but it is what it is. This will get vulnerable to get next turn, and then we can have this hook this. Sure.
Clear your head.
Let your instincts speak.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Huh. Yeah, I think I'm into that. Feel like Atrocity would be terrible and slow. Yeah, probably. I also don't think that's a bad thing though. It's okay for cards that feel bad to play against to be bad. It's like Unyielding Spirit. Unyielding Spirit's a lot worse at fast than it is at burst, but it still got changed because, well, the card feels real terrible to play against. I put this second, so that way... No, it doesn't matter because it's Overwhelm, right? We're recalling Tasty Tree Folk. There's been a recall. Is he no longer tasty?
Looks like I'm ready. Bye-bye.
Looks like I'm ready. Purple is no longer on the menu.
Into the forest.
Night falls.
Do this actually. I'll try and keep him alive. If I hook this here, they kill this with a deal one, which isn't great.
This is gonna be fun.
Master.
We shall not rest until all betrayers pay.
Let's put him last, actually. So that way if something dies in here, he can level up. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and attack with this one now. So that way If they kill this, it works towards this. Nice, Blue Man.
One smack'll do.
Trundle just slowly working up his bundle here. They passed. If I vengeance this, they die technically. Like, that's probably not good enough. I think I just want to let Thresh level. Yeah, their Iota is exactly correct. I will take all of the passes you are willing to give me, opponent. Opponent's hand's a bunch of counter spells. Well, the nice thing about Runeterra is even if they have a bunch of counter spells in their hand, I have a bunch of units, right?
Walking is strange. Nothing's tougher than a troll.
Feels like Ruination. And like if they kill Trundle, I'm kind of okay with that. Like their Kalista leveling is pretty whatever here. Like I have really good open attacks next turn, so I'm definitely just passing here. If they want to pass back to me again, we're gonna attack and get another Trundle and like beat them down. Morning, Sandy. All right, this is the third go hard.
Skill and grace to tear your breath away.
Nice to meet you. Ha!
We unfortunately do not get Nice Pillar. What on God's green earth is in their hands? Alright. Pirates, eh? What happened to discard aggro and pirate aggro, by the way? I feel like the latter flipped a switch and we went from like all Noxious aggro decks for a couple of days to like all Freljord Shadow Isles control really quickly. Leaves, good morning to you. Happy election day. Thank you for the absurdly generous 10 sub gifties. Good morning. Hey, but I love you. But if you're gonna whine, I need you to go upstairs, okay? I think we kill this one because the spider can block this one.
This'll shake him.
Is Ken Shiraka actually good against aggro? That's not been my experience playing with or against it in the past.
There's plenty of killing left.
Morning, Pearsall. Life is reasonable. Global pandemic aside, things are mostly reasonable.
Remember the objectives. For the glory of Noxus.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, having one card that's good doesn't make the matchup good, though.
Looking for trouble? It found you.
This'll take the chill off.
Nobody really quits Magic.
Clear it out.
The dead don't need riches.
People take breaks from Magic.
Let's talk about your dad. I've carved meat bigger than you.
What if we double Vile Feast this? I can't double Vile Feast it. Sad. Wait, she just has a game 3 then? I think so. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Niv? I've unfollowed a lot of people on a lot of Magic people on my Facebook, on my Twitter that I scroll, and I haven't used Facebook in forever.
Neither the blades nor the depths can claim me, Captain.
I said something to this effect on Twitter the other day in a response to someone, but like, you know, if Magic has, you know, 4 or 5 months of having consistently good formats that people praise instead of complain about, I'll probably poke at it again and see if it's fun, but like, I'm just like, at a spot in my life where like, if my income doesn't depend on playing Magic to have income, I'm just not gonna play it if it doesn't look fun. It hasn't looked or felt fun for a little bit for me, so. Whereas Runeterra's been wonderful. I think we do this out first, because I can just play Vengeance. Maybe I'm supposed to just Ice Quake there, actually.
If they don't break, they'll
Well, we got value on waiting for the Ice Quake, so that's nice.
the few for the many.
We're one heart away from Go Hard, Niv. Spooky Karma's been sitting at the top of the deck queue, waiting for me to get that card. Yeah, I've heard people say reasonable things about Modern. They're just not good ways to play those formats digitally. I also really dislike, and this is something that's been true for a while, I hate that even when formats like Modern or Historic are good, in order to play the good games in those formats, you have to be willing to tolerate randomly dying on turn 2 and turn 3 sometimes. So you're basically just gambling, right? You're saying like, okay, in order to experience the games I actually want, I have to sometimes just like not play the game at all. And like that is like the sometimes you randomly die early. That's a feature Wizards very clearly wants in their formats because they don't ban around that as a condition for those formats.
No prey, no pay.
And like, I get that some people like play patterns like that, but I feel like the thing to draw me back into Magic or make it be worth playing to me personally would be like, okay, at some point there's a format at least somewhere in there where I like never have to die on that early. So I find dying that early tedious and unfun.
That egg, did it move?
I prefer to get a chance to actually play the games that I want to play. And Runeterra does a really good job of that. Has a lot of back and forth, and I feel like I get a chance to actually play all of the games that I'm in.
I'll be damned.
I think we just kill this so they don't get her attack triggers. I have another Vengeance in case they draw like a second Gangplank here. But in a really good spot here this game. Our curve was excellent.
Strike at their foundations.
We have gain 10 plus Vengeance in hand. So besides Shadow Isles, Freljord, is there a good control deck right now? Yeah, I think Lux Ash and I think Ash Kench are both like pretty medium. I guess you could argue those are mid-range decks. I don't know. That line's kind of blurry. Yeah, Raka Kench should be, I would classify as a control deck too, I think.
What will you have?
Oops, did I break something?
There's honestly a ton of things that contribute to it. Factor fiction. It's not only the resource system being different, but the spell mana system at its core also helps make there be less non-games in Runeterra. And that's because one of the most detrimental things in card games in general, this isn't just Magic, but like Hearthstone 2, is like missing your curve variance, as I like to call it, is really important and puts you behind, and just the existence of spell mana in Runeterra as a whole is very important to mitigating and giving you more decisions in the games. I also think one of the things that helps Runeterra have less non-games than a lot of other card games is Runeterra has players draw twice as many cards as you do in most card games, right? Because both players are playing every turn and drawing a card every turn, you're drawing twice as many cards as Magic or Hearthstone in a lot of other games, so you just have more choices every single turn that you're playing, which makes the games feel better because choices are what enable player agency. So by giving players more options each turn, you're giving them impact over the outcome of the games. Yeah, and not only that too, but like, you know, to talk about it further, another thing, like there's so many things in the core game design of Runeterra that reduce non-games. Even seeing your opponent's champions and regions at the start of a match reduces non-games in Runeterra, because being able to mulligan intelligently before you start your game instead of just being like, okay, this hand sucks here, is huge. So, yeah. As far as this deck goes, I made a couple of changes to the last time we played this. I should probably throw this one up on the website. It's kind of a sweet combo control deck. I feel like this can kind of, this is one we've been playing for like the last month and change now since Trundle released, or a couple of months now since Trundle released, and I feel like as the metagame shifts, this deck always feels like it has tools to be relatively competitive. So like Ruination was awkward for a little bit, so we like cut those and played more Vengeances. I think with people moving back towards playing like Feel the Rush and other Freljord Shadow Isles decks, Ruination gets a little bit better, but just like having just good interaction and cheap units to come up the board early, and then having that really proactive Trundle bundle combo called the top end with Harrowing is really, really stellar. At any rate, that's going to go ahead and wrap